Hey guys, welcome back to Off the Cuff. Medium-sized one today. Today is going to be a bit about inner cities and the history of inner cities. And the reason that I started to think about this was because when I was listening to the Logan Paul clips that I put into the video that I did, it reminded me of some films and TV series that I had seen, American ones, set in New York in the 20s, filmed in the late 30s. And the reason that I ended up watching those is because when I saw Home Alone at Christmas a few years ago, and in Home Alone, he plays a video of something that he's recorded, and it's a film called Angels with Dirty Souls. And yeah, it's quite funny, but I remember wondering at the time, is that a real film or is it something that they put together to put in Home Alone, which turns out that is what happened. But it was based on a series of films. One of those films was called Angels with Dirty Faces. Another one is called Dead End. There were tons of them back then. And essentially they were set in 1920s New York, and they were about sort of immigrants coming to America and how their children were faring in the inner city and dealing with, extreme poverty and stuff like that. And I find it fascinating because I feel like a lot of people nowadays just think that inner cities is almost like a modern problem. And obviously we see that it has been massively racialized to make almost have people thinking that it's a black problem. But it's really not. Like if you go back 100 years, or even if you go back 20 years in the UK, and I'm sure there's parts of America that are the same. But for these films and when they were set, if you go back 90, 100 years, you can see the inner cities and these are white kids and white families, even though they're from various different parts of the world. And it's crazy that like the similarities. So you have how they've almost developed their own language, not language, but many words and things like that to avoid, getting caught, I guess. Like it's just easier to it probably originated by people saying things almost as a code. You saw a lot of gangs, you saw a lot of violence, you saw a lot of, I would say like the inner city culture we see today. So people thinking that weapons are cool and like brandishing weapons and showing them off. You see the sort of obligatory lack of respect for authority, the almost hatred of police, and you also see on the other shoe, as it were, that the police, they're also, they're not far away from these people. The only difference is that they're trying anything they can to get out. So, for example, in one of the films you watch, or one of the films I watched, the policeman is very, very poor himself, but he's joined the police to try and have some money so that he can get out. But yeah, so there's just many, many things. Like they had different hairstyles to sort of normal people. They had different clothing styles. I would say the only difference really between then and now are tattoos and just the fact that they were way poorer. I mean, back then, way poorer. But yeah, let's have a look and see what you think.
Come on, well, let's get in the way.
All right.
Hey, watch out. What do you want? I'm making that for me. I'm hungry. All right, let's go. Come on, take baby. How'd you get it, Crib?
I hoisted over the transom back of the alley and dropped it down a hunk here.
Yeah, the corner caught me right in the dome.
Ah, so long as it didn't break the machine.
Come on, that's coming.
Oh, be in the money now, mate. Six nickels and 2 slugs. Imagine crooks like that putting slugs in a slot machine. Shizzlers. I'm gonna break this thing off. Pipe down.
Hey, get me.
That's only Sophie again.
Hey, Sophie, look what we got. Oh, Chase, you want to see the hook I get? No. Let me lie.
We got a sucker's hook.
No kidding.
Come on, dish it out. Time's a-wasting.
What's the matter? You grabbing already?
Give me,
Give me,
yeah.
How much you got there, Sophie? Let me see. 10, 20, 30, 35.
Gee, there must be more than 100 there.
100 nothing. We're in the big chips now.
Whoa, what a haul! Hey, what a haul, yeah.
6 ways. Don't forget 6
Come on,
ways.
Nick.
Come on,
You'll get yours. What are you, grabbing already?
Come on,
Come
give me
on,
Come on,
give me,
Soapy.
Come on,
Oh, that looks very good.
Greenback, come on, give me one.
We split half, all right? Come on, yeah. Give
me
a
Give me.
You bunch of chiselers.
Take 'em out.
That's fine. Give me another.
You're all covered.
Hey, give us a break, mister. We wasn't even there.
We didn't have nothing to do with it.
Say your prayers, Muggs.
On a level, mister.
No,
Shut
no,
up, rats.
Stop your squealing.
Who's the leader?
I am.
Come here. Collect that dough. And fast.
Come on, hand it over. Me too. Come on. Here.
Now get him up and turn around.
Hey, what?
Hey,
Hey, what's the matter?
Next time you roll a diaper's poop, make sure you don't know your hideout.
How'd you know?
Come here, suckers.
Hey, how do you know this place so good?
Let me show you. Here. Look at this.
Oh, Rex.
Hey, you ain't Rocky Sullivan.
Rocky Sullivan.
Wow.
How'd you get that? It's Rocky Sullivan.
And we tried to hook you. What a boner.
Some of the slang has changed its meaning, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the minute you saw us stuck down the alley, you knew he was heading for the hideout.
And I took the old shortcut. What do they call you?
Soapy's the name. This guy's Bim. This mug here's Swing.
Hi.
This blue cup here's Hunky.
Hi, Rocky.
This guy might...
I'm Pasty, and this guy's Crabfish. But we just call him Crab for short. Hi.
Great to meet you, Rocky. Fellas, meet Rocky Sullivan.
Hi, Rocky.
Rocky.
Good to see you. No
Good to see you.
So yeah, a little bit cheesy, but I guess we look back at eras like that and we think, oh, it was all overacted and da-da-dum. Yeah, maybe. But the point still stands. If you watch a bunch of these, and like I said, there's dozens of these, they all show that in the inner cities you have these commonalities, like I listed before. They're all almost identical. I guess everything evolves, whether naturally or not. So you are going to see some differences, but mostly it remains the same. So I guess the main question then is, well, why do we feel like there's a racial problem today? And the easy answer would be because people have played the race card on it. But maybe there is something else. There has to be something else. What sort of kept groups of people getting out of there? Because, whether it's UK, Australia, the US, wherever, we've seen the sort of newcomers to the country where, because they're obviously so much poorer than the people that have been there before. They come in, they get accommodation wherever they can, which tends to be in the cities, and then they sort of work their way out. But that's something that we've seen, maybe not so much in the UK, maybe to a degree, but certainly in America, we seem to have sort of seen a stagnation of the, you spend your time there, and then you join the military, join the police, you become a tradesman or whatever, and you find your way out. I know it's not as easy as I'm making it sound, but that's what people did for decades and decades and decades, if not in the UK, hundreds of years. But yeah, so we'll watch a couple more.
Quit it, can't you? That Corbin's driving me crazy. All day and all night, all the time it goes.
Where are you going now?
Where do you think? Dirty some dough so I can pay the rent to hear you cough. Well, do you think you'll know me now that you've seen me?
Excuse me, lady.
So yeah, you know, we've got a sort of wealthy upper middle class woman goes to the tenement buildings to find someone, and she realizes that that it's a different world. But the difference between what you would see today and hear about today incessantly is that everybody there is not black. But you still have the same issues. It's clearly very poor. We have the sort of obligatory, to use a term again, cockroaches crawling out of the bins. You've got the, openly arguing couple with the husband that's obviously very ill, has poor health, and the wife who's sick of him not being able to bring home the bacon, so she's off to go and game to bring in some money. On the way out, she is very brash and mouthy to a complete stranger, despite the fact that stranger was doing nothing to her. There's a later scene in the movie where she I think somebody else is in that building, and there's the drunk guy leant up against the wall. Well, I just think it's very interesting, for a lot of young kids maybe that don't realize that poverty and these difficult situations is not a race thing. And that particularly in the past, before they'd managed to work their way out, there was pretty much one race in poverty. Especially in the UK, you're talking hundreds of years of one race being in poverty. But yeah, so very interesting. We'll have a look at one last one. Unless I change my mind. Who knows?
Come on. Hold on. On your way.
Boys, hi, so he said they want to come down and fight our gang, see? But they got a guy with his leg broke bad, and maybe he can't go around on account of poison. So I says then the shadow, cause we got a guy with TB, so that makes us even.
He's like he's half-ace. What for? When I said he's like a half-ace.
What for? I won him, and before I won him, I let him to TB so he could play.
One half-ace are all kicking a slack.
Say, Tommy, do I gotta give him?
Nah, he didn't have his fingers crossed. Well, I choose you.
You think I'm some dope?
Yeah, dope what smells on ice.
Stand up, Timothy, stand up to him.
What's the matter? You want to fight?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, join the army.
Yeah.
Crumb.
Atta boy, Millie.
Hey, Angel.
What?
I'll swap you something for the knife.
I ain't got nothing to swap.
Well, loan it to me.
No, I need it. Honest, I need it.
Okay.
Hey, look, Angel, I'll give you 11 cents for it. Sure.
Ha ha. It only costs 10.
I don't care. Here, Tommy.
So wait here. Well, go on. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Gee, that's a nice watch you got there. What time is it?
A minute and a quarter past 4:30.
All right. TB, I got TB.
Come on, fellas, I got some big to show you. Come on.
Okay, okay. You want to come see? Oh, why not? He's a good kid.
This is only for the gang. Only for the gang.
What is it? Gee, I can't tell you, but boy, it's something great.
Will you get the lead out of your pants?
Too bad don't let you see it. Boy, you never saw anything like that before.
Oh, I don't care anyhow.
It'll only take you a minute. Hey, fellas, let him come and see. Will you? He's okay, no kidding.
Well, all right, let him come. Come on.
Come on.
Well, I don't know.
All right.
Wait, I'm coming.
So yeah, there you go. If you couldn't tell there, the gang of local tenement boys had taken the rich kid into their hideout, and they were about to extract some monies with a knife. And if you couldn't see at the end, the kid was coming out to get a baseball bat. So yeah, all good fun. And then the adults that were leading up against their hideout were just chuckling. It's all good fun. Quick shanking and beating. But yeah, I just think it's fascinating because it shows you that how some things change and some things never do. And it's very similar to how it is now. The one thing that I just think would be a much better use of people's time is that instead of just making it out like the amount of melanin in your skin is what dictates how long you will spend in the inner city and hence in poverty, instead of thinking of it like that, like try and find an answer. Is it cultural? Is it that people have now made it cool to be like that? Is it that people would rather spend money on a gold chain and the latest Knicks jersey than saving the money and putting it towards an apprenticeship? Like, why is it that everyone kept going in and making their way out until the last sort of 30, 40 years? Like, what has changed? And it's also fascinating because it just shows people that that's what it was like. You know, that this whole white privilege thing is just ridiculous. Caught myself there. You know, many moons ago, yeah, you could definitely say there was white privilege in certain parts of the world. Like, if you're living in Louisiana in the 1800s, I'm sure there was a lot of white privilege. But if you're living in the Bronx in the 1800s, there's no white privilege. So yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope it wasn't too boring. I know some people find it difficult to watch black and white films, but if you can bear it, that film Dead End and Angels with Dirty Faces, I hope that's the right one and not the fake one. They are really good watches because you will literally find yourself every 5 minutes going, wow, I can't believe it was like that then as well. Exactly, you know, to the craziest minute little details. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, and I will see you soon.
I'm going to give you to the count of 10 to get your ugly, yellow, no-good keister off my property before I pump your guts full of lead.
All right, Johnny, I'm sorry. I'm going.
1, 2, 10. Keep the change, you filthy animal.